I moved with my family to Shanghai in 2014 to help NYU open our campus there. And we got through, in fact, our first graduating class just graduated in May of 2017, and I came home a few weeks ago. What's interesting is, to me, is when Andrew said, I got to see this from afar. I was an avid reader of the news, always have been, possibly more so when I was there, but I didn't get to feel it. And the gap in being away from, being able to read the New York Times, being away from the feeling on the street, and then coming back to this has been very disorienting. I study social media, have done for quite some time now. And when I left town in the middle of the decade, in 2014, much of the conversation around social media on the left was about the need to preserve the ability for people not to have to reveal their identities. There was a great pushback around Facebook and the real name policy. Much of the conversation was about the need to prevent the government from intervening in what people were and were not able to say. And I have come back only 3 years later to an environment in which, in many of the same environments, precisely the opposite set of commitments is now being put forward. It's critical that we know who people are. It's critical that we be able to tell real people from fake people, and those are legitimate, natural categories that we care about. It is important that purveyors of ideas that don't pass a certain kind of muster be identified and stopped in advance. There are pros and cons to each of those positions, but what gets me much more than the positions themselves is the whiplash. There has been really a huge change in the feeling of the political conversation. Some of it is the feeling in the case of loss, which many people on the left feel very keenly right now, to do something in the short term. But I'm struck by how radical the change is and how dangerous it is in many ways to act on events as if they were transformations. We don't yet know. We do have to act now, but I want to be mindful of that. And then the other thing is I have just come from living in a country whose explicit stated rationale is, for the media environment, is we control what people can say and what they can hear so that no fake news gets through. That it is in those terms that the Cyberspace Administration of China, which is a relatively new and top-level entity in the government, the commitment, in a way, to control of the media environment did nothing but ramp up in the entire time I've been first visiting and now living in Shanghai. It is not only the rationale, but it has actually been effected. It actually works the way the Chinese want it to work, by and large, or Beijing, the government wants it to work, which is there's a high degree of control over what people can say, and there's a high degree of control over what people can hear. And it does not work out in the way that many progressives imagine it might. The idea that there could be an intervening power that would only let progressive ideas flow has a long history of both appeal and failure. And I am both surprised and on some level worried that those ideas have come back into sync again in this environment.